So what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 2am in Sweden, aka We Got Next. I'm one of the hosts of the show, Hayes, aka Shifty, with the one, the only, the Penn State fan himself, Steven at Steven_Springs. Steven, how you been? How was your trip? We'll kind of just start off going to the quick slants and stuff.
It wasn't good, dude.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't good. Did you watch the game?
I did watch it.
Yeah. It's pretty simple. And I talk about this in the quick slants. Comes out tomorrow night. Ohio State just makes more plays than we do.
Mhm.
We have a ton of talent. We have a very talented team. I think we're still one of the best teams in the country, but they're just better than us. And they have been for my entire life, basically. I think we have like 5 wins against them since 2000. You frozen? Or is that me?
No, I'm here.
This guy. I think we have like 5 wins against them since 2000, which is not great.
Mhm.
They're just better. Like they have more talent, and they just make plays when they need to make them, and that's it. Like we had the pick six, which made
Yeah,
it 10-7,
2
which
games in a row.
bro, stadium was hype.
I know.
Hype, dude. First, I will say this though. The game was at noon. The
Mhm.
atmosphere outside the stadium, dog. I'm telling you, I have been to so many Penn State football games at home. Have not seen it like that before. It was. We got to the tailgate lots. Lots opened up at 7 a.m. My uncle got there at 7:30. We slept, me and BJ slept at Jordan's.
Yeah.
Went over to the football building at like 7:30 ish. And you could just tell, like we drove by the stadium and just packed, bro, packed. And we got to the football building, and then we started driving around the lots around like 8:30, and we got in Jordan's golf cart. Shout out to the homie.
Shout out.
We drove around like the whole stadium. We had to take his mom to another tailgate. Drove around the whole stadium, and it was just packed, bro. It felt like it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you've been to a night game. It's a long day. It felt like it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but it was 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was just packed, dude, buzzing with people. But then we had great seats, 50-yard line, halfway up. Again,
Yo, I saw that. That's good.
yeah, shout out to J Hill for that one too.
Shout out. Because you were in the blue section.
Yeah, the only blue section. But it was the best seats I think I've ever had for a Penn State game. So that was dope. But everything was all good and a little bit until like 2:30. And then there was a point in the game where I think they either scored or made a stop. And I looked at BJ and I was like, I don't know, dog. I don't think it's gonna happen today. And like, again, pick was on, then they scored right after that. And it was just like we just couldn't make plays. There was a pick at the end of the first half that should have been a touchdown for us. Receivers gotta catch that ball. Shit like that. Jeremiah Smith didn't have a big day, but he made a couple catches. Quinshon Judkins averaged 6.8 yards a carry.
And
Trayvon Henderson averaged, I think, 5.5. Like, you're not going to win games like that. You're just not going to win those games. You can beat Purdue and Northwestern and some of those other teams, but you can't beat Ohio State giving up 6 yards a carry. So that sucked. But good segue playoff rankings. Season's not over. Most of the time when we lose to Ohio State, that's kind of the feeling, but season's not over yet. Yeah, it's a bummer, but we have 4 games left. We got Washington this Saturday night at home. It's a whiteout. It's on Peacock, by the way, which sucks.
Yep.
But that's what happens when you lose a big game. You get relegated. Still going to be a huge game. First time we played Washington, obviously, with them being in the Big Ten now. And it's just a good opportunity now. New season. We got Purdue next weekend. We got Minnesota on the road. We finish up with Maryland. So 4 very, very winnable games. Go 11-1 on the top 5. Crack the top 5. And then host the game in December, late December in State College, bro. Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm down for one more home game. So we got, I still think we're one of the best teams in the country. We need to shore up the run game on defense. We got to make some plays, but I feel good about this team still. I think everybody should. And by the way, I say this on the podcast too. Like, as a general thing, this is not a James Franklin problem. Like, this has been going on. Like, Penn State losing to Ohio State is not like a new thing. We've been losing to them for decades now. So, people want James Franklin fired, and that's just not going to happen. That's just a horrible idea. But nonetheless, rankings came out last night. That's what I was focused on. Not as much as everybody.
One thing before we do that, because I want to touch on the quick slants again, and I want you to talk about your star DN. You know who I'm talking about out of Philly.
Yeah, Abdul Carter.
Yes.
He had 2 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss. He's, tops in the country or close to that in both those categories. He had a huge game. Could have had another one. But yeah, he's a monster. He should probably be an All-American. He's one of the better players in the country. He's a projected top 10 pick. He's a real deal though. There's no way he comes back. But like example, Ohio State, they can keep those guys for another year.
Yep.
Because they have the NIL money. Like they can keep. They had Abdul Carter, JT Tuimola, number 44. He's been on campus for 4 years now. Like, it's other places can't keep those guys. Those guys are gone for 3 years. If you're giving a kid, hey, we'll give you another $5 million to stick around for one more year and maybe win a national title, and then you'll get to the 20 or so. Like, it's tough to say no to that. So that's another big difference between Penn State and Ohio State. But nonetheless, Abdul Carter,
So I'll touch on the rankings really quick with the playoff, and then I want you to dive into it. So 1, of course, is Oregon. 2 is Ohio State. 3 is Georgia. 4 is Miami. Is that really it? No.
Yeah. So go through the rankings. I'll go through the rankings and I'll explain it.
Okay. Yeah. 5 is Texas. 6 is Penn State. 7 is Tennessee. 8 is Indiana. 9 is BYU. Yep, I know what I messed up on. 10 is Notre Dame. 11 is Alabama. 12, Boise State. 13, SMU. Texas A&M. 14, 15, LSU. 16, Ole Miss. And then, go through it because I saw BYU at 4.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of threw it off.
So the top 4 are the 4 highest ranked conference leaders right now. Or, it's season end today, the 4 highest ranked conference champion. And then the next wave or the next best teams basically. So even though Penn State is 6th in the country, they would be seeded as a 7th seed because of how the conference championship rankings will work. That's how it's based. The number 1 team in the country is obviously Oregon. Number 2, Ohio State. Second best team in the Big Ten. Georgia. Miami leads ACC. Texas is the next best team. And Penn State, you mentioned Tennessee, Indiana, BYU, and Notre Dame. Outside looking in, SMU, Texas A&M. SMU against Pitt this weekend. Fuck Pitt. Indiana, 9-0, dude. I'm surprised they're at 8.
I know.
A lot of people thought that they would be ahead of Penn State, but losing to if you're gonna have a bad loss, losing to the number 4 team in the country is not the worst thing in the world. Like Ohio State's only lost of the season, number 1 team in the country. So, let me just did something. Oh no!
So,
but
my question for you that I had was, looking at the undefeated teams that you have. So you have Miami, you have Indiana, you have BYU. Out of them, who do you think is the most vulnerable for a loss?
Did you include Oregon or no?
And Oregon. Well, they're obvious.
Okay. I'll stick with those other teams. I would say probably Indiana or Miami. Probably Indiana, because I think if I look at this, Indiana. So they play Michigan this weekend. They play at Ohio State next weekend. That's a big one. Yep. And I don't know if both teams are. If Indiana beats Michigan this weekend, which they should, favored by 14. Wow, that's a big spread. And they play Ohio State next weekend. Ohio State has Purdue this weekend, favored by 37.5. So, it'll be 10-0 versus 8-1 in Columbus, which is going to be a great. I hate both with a passion, dude. I hate both teams with a passion. Hate them.
Mm-hmm.
But and I don't know who I would end up rooting for in that game because I hate both teams. Probably Indiana because I hate Ohio State more. But Friday, um, I don't have faith in them. Like they haven't really played, anybody good. And people look at like common opponents and like shit like that. And style points are going to matter, by the way. This is gonna be the first time in college football history that style points are going to matter. Like, you can't have a sloppy win against, Northwestern if you're a Big Ten team. Can't skate by against teams like that. Like Miami's skating by teams. As long as they stay undefeated, it doesn't really matter for them because they'll win the ACC. But yeah, dude, it was crazy. Like as a college football fan, when I was at dinner last night and they had it on the TV at the bar, and I saw the brackets come out. As a college football fan, that's crazy to see. Playoffs in college football, I never thought I would see that. I shouldn't say never, but like you didn't think it was gonna happen now.
From where it started to where it is now.
From where it started and like an undefeated team not getting a national title.
The
BCS, which is like just a bunch of computers and like no one really voting, just computers. That always caused problems. 14 playoffs, somebody was always on the outside looking in. Now it's like, okay, like don't most teams can make the playoffs now. 12 teams, there's bye weeks and like home games the home games I think right now would be in Columbus, State College, I think Austin, and one other like great college town. Late December in Columbus and State College, bro, with some snow, nothing better. Nothing better. And for a college football playoff game, and it's just like because like most big time playoff games or big time indoors or Miami or LA or whatever. So I mean it's gonna be great. In college football, the last month of the season, there's always chaos. And some bump someone out of the or whatever, or out of a conference title race. Now it's gonna, might bump you out of the playoffs, which is, so this game's gonna mean a lot more, which is gonna be great because it's gonna be better television, more meaningful games along the way. So yeah, it'll be, the next month of the season should be awesome.
So my last thing I want to say on this one is looking at if we just stuck with the top four, BYU would be the one that Ohio State would love to just sit in that position. Because if you're telling me Ohio State would just have to play Boise State, granted, it's not going to end this way, but Ohio State would have it. Like, that's the gamesmanship that you'll end up seeing in a lot of this, too. The other part I wanted to bring up is, and I mentioned this before, Ole Miss plays Georgia. That's one big game that happens. The game I've been talking about for a hell of a long time, LSU and Bama. And that game has a lot of playoff implications on it, too. One that people shouldn't sleep on is Vandy versus South Carolina. Because of how South Carolina is going, but then also Vanderbilt's in the top 25. And the final thing before we move on to Mr. Embiid himself, I got to give flowers to Steven because he called the downfall of Michigan from the onslaught. Like before the season started, he said they're going to fall out the top 25. Yeah, they started
them and Washington. Both teams are 5-4.
Both of them. Yeah, they both fell out, and they both lost their coaches. So that's like another thing that played an impact on the whole season.
The situations are completely different, obviously.
Exactly.
Washington lost the quarterback, starting running back, both starting wide receivers, head coach. Not because they cheated, just because they all left. Michigan lost everybody. I mean, they lost the quarterback and running back because they got drafted, but all the coaches knew they were fucked, so they left.
Yep. So the other part I wanted to end up bringing up now is going back to the beginning, and then we'll kind of go into the NFL side of things. I have a lot of hot takes that we're going to bring up. The first one I have to talk about, since we haven't brought it up yet, is the MLB World Series. So for anyone that doesn't know, the Yankees lost. Steven and I saw the first game. I personally knew as soon as Freddie Freeman hit that the whole series is over. We might as well call it then. If you hit a grand slam walk-off in the World Series, something that doesn't always happen, that's when it's over. Then Freddie Freeman came back again the next game and hit another home run. Mind you, Shohei Ohtani didn't even have a good World Series. Aaron Judge did not have a great World Series. But then that happened. It really should have gone back to L.A., and I was telling everyone it's going back to L.A., but long and behold, the Yankees found a way to lose. Like, that's one of those things that was super hard to do, give up that many runs in the fifth. That doesn't happen. So that was kind of one thing. The only question I have, and then we can go into the NBA stuff, is Juan Soto. Where do you think he ends up?
I mean, there's only like 4 teams that he can sign with, right?
Yep.
Like,
One of the New York teams,
yeah,
LA,
or
not going to Anaheim, the Angels.
Padres. Can they afford him?
He was there. I don't know if he would go back there.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only like 4 teams that he can go to, or like 3.
Yeah, that's really it. Because you're gonna have to open up the whole bank account for him.
Everything.
Not even like half of it. Like the amount a city makes.
He's only 25.
Young. Yes. Yeah. So
that's stupid.
That was that. Something else that's stupid. I'm glad you used that word. Tell me your thoughts on Joel Embiid.
What is going on? What's happening?
And so here's the thing.
Like, this is a complete 180 from the Olympics.
Here's the kicker. This man did not start the season, and he said he wasn't doing back-to-backs. Then he shoved a reporter, and then a columnist. Then they said they're suspending him for 3 games. First off, people are saying, why are you going to suspend someone that doesn't want to play?
Yeah.
You should force them to play in the games. But what are your thoughts on that? Kind of seeing how everything's happening in Philly and how Tyrese Maxey's the only one playing.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. This is just a complete 180 from the Olympics, though.
Yes.
Like, Embiid was killing it when he he had his moments. But this is just I don't want to say like, oh, this is classic, but like kind of classic.
Yeah.
Especially with him. If it was anybody else, it might not be that big of a deal, but it's like, bro, you've been hurt for a minute. And like, it can't, like, their injuries, I mean, he's had injuries for a while now. Like, he's out the first 2 years in the league.
He did.
Like,
stuff at Kansas.
Yeah, bro. Like, so I'm not saying like he should like force it. If you can't go, we can't go. But like, just like the shit that he does throughout the course of the games, the flops, like, all that kind of good stuff. Like, this is just like, yeah, couldn't happen to anyone better in terms of like us as fans. Getting to like, I mean, the jokes write themselves with this.
Oh yeah,
great. It's great.
Yeah,
content.
So
it gets us talking about it. He hasn't played a game and we're still talking about him.
No, and it's so crazy because Paul George is about to come back, but it's one of those things of how is it that Joel Embiid, who they keep talking about how he'll make it to the championship one day, he's not going to do that. At the rate he's going, the closest chance they ever had was playing against Kawhi Leonard. After that, it just was never going to happen.
Only in sports, right?
Yeah.
Only in sports can you not do your job, get suspended from your job for pushing someone that's doing their job.
Yeah.
And people like still talk about you.
Yes.
And still like you're, one of the number 1 topics on sports shows.
Exactly. So,
oh, by the way, Lakers are about to probably lose again. They're down 42-36 to the Grizzlies. AD is not playing. 7 minutes left till halftime. Everyone's freaking out about the Lakers, dude. Like, bro, they're 8 games in.
Yeah,
relax. Like, they don't need to be the number 1 seed, dude. Like, it's not that. Like, that it's not that serious. Like, they're gonna make the playoffs as long as you have AD and LeBron. Like I like JJ Redick. I think he's doing a great job. Like, he knows what his role is. He doesn't need to do too much. As long as those 2 are healthy, like, they'll be fine. They don't need to be the number 1 seed. Just try and avoid the play-ins. Try and avoid that shit. Get some rest. Yeah. But everyone's freaking out about him, dude.
It's crazy. Some of them thought that, I don't know, the Lakers would go undefeated. Like, JJ's going to lose games. It's better to get some of the games out early. Granted, it's going to be at least 30 losses they might get. So
yeah, I mean,
25, 30.
It's just it's a game. It's a game of runs. Like, they'll go on like a streak of they'll win 8 of 10, but then they'll come back with they lose 7 of 11. Yep. And it's just like that's how it goes sometimes. But like, they'll make the playoffs, and those 2 lock in, and you'll be all right as long as they don't have back-to-back buzzer beaters against the Nuggets. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
They'll be all right.
So you see who's undefeated? The Cavs and the Thunder.
Cavs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting, right?
Cavs and Thunder are undefeated.
Do we trust any of those teams? Either one of those teams to win a title this year?
No.
Like that's cool. Like, good story. Like, they see a long, right? That's like, oh, all right. Let's start the clock. When's their first loss? What are they on pace for? Like, is this another Warrior situation? Chances are not likely. That's kind of an anomaly. But like, do I trust the Cavaliers to win a title? No.
Not with this team.
Do I trust the Thunder? No, I probably trust them more than the Cavs, but like, that's not saying much.
And they still have draft picks. That's the crazy part about the Thunder.
They do. They have a ton.
Give them time. They said if all goes the way it looks like it might go, and the Clippers don't even make the playoffs, the Thunder might be able to get a top pick.
Yeah.
And they
don't worry. The Pistons will have the worst record in the league and still won't get the top pick.
So right now the Pistons are 3-5, and the Bucks are 1-6.
Hey. So the Pistons are one player away, man. They are, and I don't mean that, they're more than that, but they don't, like, they just need like some, they just need a free agent, man. They need a big free agent.
Mm-hmm.
They need to land someone that's like relatively young that might have like another 4 or 5 years in them to match up. Dude, they're like the second or third youngest team in the league.
They are.
They have like 8 guys that are like 26 and younger. They just need another guy. Cade Cunningham's legit. Hardaway Jr. is so inconsistent. He had like 70 against the Lakers, and he has 2 tonight. Like, naturally. But hey, I the Pistons. Whatever. Shout out to the Pistons.
Shout out. So, do you see that the East is already forming into what it's always going to be? That the Celtics and the Cavaliers are 8-0 and 7-1, and then the next best team has 4 losses.
I was just gonna say there's only 2 teams with winning records in the East.
Yo, the season just started. Like,
that's crazy, dude.
It just started.
And it's a wrap for every other team.
Yeah. Oh, another thing that I know people always talk about with us is in a week or two we'll start doing our famous fantasy game that we do in basketball. So we'll have to pick the 5 players and then 2 bench players, and then we'll have to do our 2 picks. So we'll do it in like a week or two because a lot of things are still happening, and then we'll
this shit changes every year too. There's no rules. I was like, make up new shit every year.
That's how it is. So my next thing I want to bring up, and we'll do it pretty quick so we can get into the game picks, but the game is called Good, Average, or Stupid. And so I'm going to list a transaction that happened in the NFL, and I want Steven's thoughts on if it was a good transaction / trade, an average transaction, or stupid. I can assume as to one of them how it's going to be, but the first one is DeAndre Hopkins going to the Chiefs.
Great. Elite.
Yeah.
I mean, those dudes are rolling, dude. Those guys are gonna start cooking because they're gonna get a rhythm, and it's they might go undefeated. They have a really good chance.
Yeah. So my next one, Cooper to the Bills.
Amari Cooper.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. That's another great one. I haven't heard his name. For better or worse, I haven't heard his name. But they're winning, so like, who cares? I think it's gonna be a great addition. It's gonna, we talked about it, gonna give Keon Coleman a little bit of a breather in terms of like not having to be that guy. Learn from a vet. Learn from a guy who is one. He's probably one of the more underrated receivers in the league, Amari Cooper. But I think it's gonna work out well for them. They're on another team that's rolling. Like, they're very, very good. I think the Chiefs are a little bit better, but I just trust the Chiefs more, obviously. But Bills are no joke this year, and they got a great defense.
Yeah. So Devontae Adams to the Jets.
I mean, looking like shit right now, but I don't know. Like, for it, Aaron Rodgers hasn't been great in the playoffs, but for like as elite as he has been in the regular season, I know he's old. I know he's coming out the Achilles. I know things are kind of all over the place in New York right now. I'm not gonna count him out. I know they're what 3-4 What are they this year right now? 3-5.
Correct.
I think they're 3-5. Like that's
3-6.
very
3-6.
3-6. Like that's manageable. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to win every game from here on out, but like it's very manageable to come back from 3-6, especially when you have I keep wanting to say Brett Favre. When you have Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Garrett Wilson. Rodgers has a great connection with Devontae Adams already, so you don't need to worry about that. You just can get into a rhythm. They got to establish a run. The defense, but they got to just keep getting in a rhythm. So I think it's good. It can't hurt them. You know what I mean? It can't hurt them. At least you would think. But I'll give it a B-.
Okay. So the next one is Mike Williams and Preston Smith to the Steelers.
You can split it
up if you want.
Preston Smith A+. That's like you want TJ Watt to be on the field as much as possible, but like you need to give him a break. And Preston Smith can easily step in and fill that, not fill that role, as in be TJ Watt, but like be that guy that comes in. He'll give you like a handful of sacks. He's not going to put up TJ Watt numbers, but like he's a very disruptive player. I'm pretty pumped about that. Mike Williams, the Steelers fans on Twitter wanted them to get DK Metcalf. They wanted them to get. They wanted him. They wanted them to bring back Lynn Swan. They wanted Hines Ward. They wanted every single receiver that you could possibly bring back to Pittsburgh. And they're like, give up whatever. Like, we're not getting DK Metcalf. I know it's a great thing to think about him and Russell Wilson. Throwing some bombs in Pittsburgh. Yeah, great. Ain't happening. Steelers don't do that. They don't work that way. So yeah, Mike Williams, another receiver to work with Russell Wilson. I'm telling you, man, if that offense, they're 5-2. If that offense gets rolling with that defense, you keep TJ Watt fresh and they brutal schedule the rest of the way. Tough. I think they have the Chiefs and the Ravens back to back in December. And they got the Eagles in Philly, I believe. That's looking like that's tougher and tougher by the weekend. First of all,
Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals to end.
Oof. Oof. Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals. Oh man, are any of those games at home?
The Chiefs and Bengals are at home. Ravens, Eagles on the road.
Okay, the Chiefs are at home. That's great. I'll take that over anything else, really. But that's tough. That's a very tough 4-game stretch. Even the Bengals, it's AFC North. You know that's gonna be a good game. That's tough. But they can when does that start? Next week?
Nah, that starts December 15th.
Okay. But yeah, if this offense gets rolling with Russell Wilson, Najee Harris he's back-to-back 100-yard games. I like the Steelers to be up there with the Bills and the Chiefs.
Steven, I'll be honest. If looking at their schedule, they only have 3 easy games. They play the Commanders. They better wax the floor with them. Then after that, they play the Ravens, the Browns. Then it goes Bengals, Browns. Then Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals.
That's tough.
Yes.
I mean, you gotta sweep the Bengals. You gotta sweep the Browns. That's 4 wins. You gotta sweep those teams.
Yeah.
The Bengals are starting to play a little better, but you're still better. Still better than them. And again, if Russell Wilson keeps getting into a rhythm, he keeps throwing it to George Pickens and Freiermuth, and they got Mike Williams. What that's going to do, we'll see. Calvin Austin's coming on. He's a good target. Najee Harris, Jalen Ward, things can get rolling for this team. So don't sleep on the Steelers.
Yeah. So the next one I got for you is the Ravens getting Tre'Davious White.
Yeah, that's massive, dude. Their secondary was dog shit.
Oh, it was
they needed something. So that's I hate it. But it's like Lamar Jackson turning into like LeBron when he was in Miami. All the free agents, all the guys who can get traded want to come play with him to try and win a title.
Yep.
It just Lamar Jackson's dog shit in the playoffs, and they just might not know that. So I gotta keep reminding the people about that. You gotta stop being weird, dude. Yeah. No, that's a great one. I'll give that an A-.
Next one, Commanders get in Marcus Lattimore.
You said who? Oh, Marcus
Mr.
Lattimore.
Yeah.
I was thinking somebody else. Yeah. I mean, this could be another situation where dudes want to come get traded to the Commanders, or free agents want to sign with them. If they keep winning and keep producing, even if they don't make it far in the playoffs, like you still got something going here. So yeah, I'll not as huge as I'll give it a B plus, borderline A minus.
The final one is probably the best trade of the whole week. Jonathan Mingo going to the Cowboys.
The Cowboys are awful. Dak is gonna be out for 4 weeks.
Yo, they said he tore a part of his hamstring.
Yeah, so he could be done for a while then.
Yes. They said if he needs surgery, it's 6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, they're cooked. So they could have brought back everybody, dude. They could have everybody, and I still wouldn't have cared. So I'll give it a D. Yep.
So we're going into our big time thing of the day, which is the picks. And then some of them I'll end up talking a little bit because I have some things to end up saying. Like the first one is the Bengals Ravens. With this one, the Bengals do this every single year. People get worried about them, and then they make this random stretch of wins to end up going forward. But who you got in the Bengals Ravens on Thursday?
I'm gonna pick the Bengals. It's in Baltimore, but I'm gonna pick the Bengals. I think, for as good as the Ravens are,
you're mute. But if Steven was not mute, then I would end up saying I'm going with the Bengals, but you all probably know why I would end up going with the Bengals.
Hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah. Okay. So I said I would go with the Bengals. Who would you go with again?
Bengals. But the Ravens defense still has holes, and Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow can still do their thing. So I'm picking the Bengals. I think those two have a big night.
Jamar Chase is going to shred that defense alive. And Mike Gesicki is going to do any damn thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Shout out to Penn State.
Shout out.
What I was saying was, before I got cut off, was for as good as the Ravens are, like, I don't think they're an elite team, like, at all. They have some elite players, but, like, I don't think they're quite there yet. Defense isn't what we're used to in Baltimore. No, like, I don't know how you game plan for Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry.
That's crazy.
Like, but if they have some consistent receivers, yeah, they can do it defensively. But we all know, like, you gotta get some stops, and shootouts probably gonna favor the Ravens, but you still gotta get stops when you need to.
Yep. So
I'm picking the Bengals.
Next one, Giants Panthers.
Ugh.
Bryce Young is starting.
That's in London, right?
It's overseas. It's
yeah,
either London or Germany.
Yeah. Either way, who cares? Giants. The Giants need to win.
Oh, they absolutely do. I'm 80% sure they're going to get a new quarterback at this point now. It'll keep going up the more they end up losing, and then the more they end up losing, they'll have a new coach as well. But Tyrone Tracy is the real deal. So if they can build a team around Tyrone Tracy and Malik Neighbors, they'll be solid. You can't mess up twice. You got rid of one good running back. Do not do it again. And then they were saying, imagine if Malik Neighbors had Saquon Barkley. And then they said, well, Saquon had Odell Beckham. And kind of what happened. Like, it was the same situation.
Didn't work out.
But the next one, Pats Bears.
I'll go Bears.
Okay.
They have a bounce back game.
I have the Pats in that one just because I have the Pats. Bills Colts.
Bills are rolling.
Bills are rolling, and the Colts are kind of just there. People say that if the Colts keep losing, they'll go back to Anthony Richardson. I doubt it. I think what he said is kind of going to push them to have to sit a little bit. Broncos Chiefs.
Chiefs.
So, if anyone knows me, I'm just going to keep choosing another team. Broncos Nation, let's ride.
Let's ride.
Falcons, Saints.
Saints are dog shit.
Yep. So
shit.
Got the Falcons in that one. I'll talk about that game later on. 49ers, Bucks.
Niners. Bucks need some
receivers. If he is back, the 49ers by 20.
Dude, he probably can't even feel his legs.
Number one, he can't feel his legs. Number two, I don't know for anyone that plays fantasy football, if y'all have looked at your fantasy points for Christian McCaffrey, they're saying he's going to get 20 points.
Yeah,
He has not even played. He has not even touched the field. We don't even know if he can feel his legs. You don't even know if he can actually run.
No.
And you guys are saying that. So, but I have the 49ers. The Bucks don't have anyone, and they've lost at least 3 or 4 games in a row at this point. Next one, Steelers, Commanders.
Steelers. That's in DC, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Steelers.
Yeah.
What's the line on that?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Probably Steelers minus
so this
3.5.
one, no, it's Washington -3 right now.
Wow. Okay. Good deal.
Yeah. Over under 45.5 points.
Should fuck around and find out.
And then, yeah, exactly. Vikings, Jags.
Vikings. Because fuck the Jags, right?
Fuck the Jags. Titans, Chargers.
Chargers. Titans suck too.
Oh, I have the Chargers in that one as well. The next one, before we talk about this one, who had the nicer play? John Morant and his 2 360 layups, or Saquon Barkley jumping over someone backwards?
Man, that layup was pretty sick.
Exactly.
That was some tricky shit. But Saquon doing that after he eluded a tackle and then hit a little juke spin thing and then went backwards over a guy. I mean, look, I've seen him play for a while now. I got to see him in person a bunch of times. Saw he did something crazy against Iowa back in 2017. Hurled a guy, got hit, kept going, got a first down. But this was different, right? Like
backwards.
Like, what's your thought process? you don't have any time, right? It's not like you can like think about it. He did the second move, and then the next guy was coming right there. Like, it doesn't matter that he like got tackled right after that. He went backwards over someone, and like nailed it. Like
he assumed that the guy was going to go low.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know if it's, I don't know how many players in the league could do that. Like, not many. Maybe like I'm sure there's a handful of guys who are pretty athletic, but like, I'm like he's also like 235.
Yes,
like guys who are like 200 pounds, sure, but like he's 235, 6 feet, big dude. That's just a freak athlete right there. Yeah. Shout out to Penn State, dude. Shout out to Penn State.
Shout out. So, Eagles, Cowboys. Who you got? Cooper Rush is starting.
Yeah. Eagles by 1,000. Go Birds.
Yeah, go Birds. Jets, Cardinals. Before we talk about this game, and I really have to say this. So, I have season tickets for the Jets. They reached out to me saying, like, hey, do you want season tickets for next year? Mind you, this year, my season tickets are $3,500 for two for a season. Next year, they said they're increasing it to $4,000. I told them absolutely not. They said, can you tell us why? I said, I don't even know who on the team is going to be there next year. And you're charging $500 more dollars. So with that being said, Jets or Cardinals, who you have? It's in Arizona.
You hear that?
The Jets.
One more time. Shout out to Fireman Ed. Going with the Jets.
Shout out. So I'm going with the Jets just on that one. The Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr., it's crazy because he's not right now at this point what people thought, but it's still so early. One, they all have to get on the same page. Trey McBride, if you guys saw in the beginning, I mentioned him when we did our standings and stats. Trey McBride's doing good there. James Conner, former, Pittsburgh Steelers guy. He's doing work over there, but the game of the week, Lions Texans.
Man, I don't know. The Lions have it right now, I think. They might be the best team in the NFC. Them or the Vikings right now.
1,000%.
But that was an impressive win in Green Bay. Also, did you see the stat that Saturday or Sunday was their first time playing outside of a dome entire season?
Yep, yeah, that's
and
insane.
Then they don't play another game outside of a dome until like late December.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
and they have home field advantage in the playoffs. Don't worry about it. That's crazy. But yeah, I think losing Aiden Hutchinson doesn't seem like it's that big of an impact. They're another team that's just rolling. Love Dan Campbell. They got it. So I'm gonna go Lions. I think that's gonna be a really good game, though. Really good game. I think those two quarterbacks could also both have massive days.
So for those that don't understand what Steven meant by they haven't played a game outside, their game was against the Packers. Packers are an outdoor stadium. After that, Texans, Energy Stadium, inside. They play against the Jaguars, Ford Field, inside. They play the Colts, Lucas Oil, inside. They play the Bears, Ford Field, inside. Packers, inside. Ford Field, Bills, inside. Ford Field, then at the Bears, December 22nd.
That's crazy.
You have to deal with no weather. Then after that, you go to the 49ers, nice weather. Then you play at home against the Vikings in the Dome. You have one bad game in the weather. And then if you get home field, you can write them to the Super Bowl if they keep up with this.
And then good chance the NFC title game will either be in a dome, either way, because they'll be playing the Vikings. If I had a guess.
Yes. Then on top of that, if they go to the Super Bowl, you know where they're playing at? The Superdome.
Okay, nice.
Yes.
Oh wow.
So all you got is straight domes for them.
That's crazy.
At this point, whoever created their schedule,
that's nuts.
Hooked them up. Like all them years they had struggles, it changed. But the final game of the week, Dolphins Rams.
Ugh. I'll go Dolphins. No, I'm gonna go Rams.
Yeah. So I was gonna go with the Rams in that one. The Dolphins are just there.
That's also a wide open division too. The NFC West. Wide open.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a doo-doo division too. Not as bad as NFC South, but
so then if you look over to the other division, the AFC East, that division's already locked up. I don't think there's any way anyone's touching the Bills. The Bills are like 4 or 5 games ahead. And
they'll probably win 13, 14 games.
Oh, and you're playing your division?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Yeah, you'll be fine. So that's it. But what you got for everyone?
I showed you earlier before you came on, but I want to show you on the patio. Your boys got it. Your boys got it. Got it cooking over here. I would put on a fire pit, but like I said, it's 85 degrees outside. So the fan up there, TV, all that kind of stuff. Got the bar,
That's
so
crazy.
Yeah, good stuff.
How long did it take?
July 24th, and they finished like early October. So not too bad.
That's impressive. That's one of those things that Steven's going to be there for a while. Type of investment. Yeah.
Yep.
So the 2 things I got for everyone. Number 1 is I'll be in New Orleans this weekend for the Saints game. I did not realize this, but I thought I could end up doing the Saints game on Sunday and then go to the Bama LSU game on Saturday. Baton Rouge and New Orleans are not right next to each other.
No, it's not. No, they're not. I know that for a fact. I was actually long story, but not that close.
No. So that's the first thing. The second thing is just pay attention to everything that's happening in the college football landscape. And then also, I'm really curious as to how everything in college basketball is going to turn out. They've been talking about a lot of these freshmen recently, like the one on Texas they talked about University of Maryland, College Park's freshman, of course, Cooper Flagg, they talk about him. And one, are these players even going to stay more than a year? Or are they just all going to go after this year? Yep. And then are these players genuinely going to be good? Or is it just, they played against some bum team right now, and then they're not going to turn out that way? So just kind of pay attention to that. But until next time, we out.
Peace.